Hey guys, hope we're doing okay in these weird times. Today I'm going to show you how to make a bar bag. I will put measurements and bits and pieces in the description. Sorry, I haven't written out a script or anything for this. I've just kind of decided to do it on a whim, so apologies for all the ums and ers and buts and what have you. Going to go over everything you need. So you need a piece of fabric. This is 25 centimeters by 38 centimeters. You can make it any size you want. That's just the size that I decided to make it. I don't know why. I think it was so it fitted a 500ml bottle. This is a 750, and you see it's not quite big enough. It would probably squeeze in, to be fair. But yeah, I'm thinking of actually making it a little bit bigger, but that was just a thought I had earlier on today. So yeah, 38, 25-ish. These circles are 12 centimeters in diameter. I've got a little tool, which I should have prepared, but thankfully it's just here. You can get these online for a couple of quid. They're not very expensive. It just lets you cut out circles, basically. So if you wanted to make the bag bigger or smaller or what have you, then you've just got this little tool that can do it for you. For years and years and years, I just used a cookie cutter and just drew around it. That's over there somewhere as well. So I just used to put that down on the fabric and then draw around it, basically, and that makes about a 12 centimeter circle. The maths is a bit weird because of the fact that you've got to take the zip into account. 12 centimeters is basically almost right, but sometimes it's too big, sometimes it's too small. It all depends on what the fabric decides to do on the day, basically. So what I would suggest is that you play around. I chose this size because that was the cookie cutter that I happen to have. Now I've got this tool, I could potentially make the circle a little bit smaller, so the maths works out perfectly. But basically you just want to multiply that length by pi, and then you'll get a rough size for that. It doesn't need to be accurate because of the nature of the fabric. It will stretch, you can manipulate it, so don't worry about being super accurate. Just a note, if you hear any weird noises, I apologize. My neighbor he's come back from 3 months being in a ski resort as a guide of some kind, and he still thinks that he's on holiday. So midnight music blaring, people chatting outside my front door. It's now 1:30 in the afternoon, and again, music blaring. Speakers seem to be pointed at the floor. So if you do hear any thumping bass, I'm sorry, it's not my fault. There's not much I can do about it. Also, I do still have a little bit of a cold. I've had it for about 3 weeks, so apologies. Anyway, I will go over all of this again because I'm chatting absolute nonsense. So, fabric. This is VX21. It is 25 centimeters wide by 38 centimeters long. 2 circles. Again, this is X50, but normally it would be VX21. I just do it so it matches. However, the customer wanted something slightly different. Cut them out with the circle tool. A zip, obviously, waterproof zip. I've got here a number 5. Someone left a comment earlier asking what size zips I use, so number 5 zip. Webbing, again, 25 centimeters. Well, what I tend to do is I tend to mark this 25 centimeters, and then I tend to cut 10 inches, because my ruler, 10 inches is slightly longer than 25 centimeters, so it gives you a little bit of overlap, you can see there. And this is a pocket for the inside. So again, I've cut this a little bit wider. This is like a stretchy-ish mesh material. You can find it on eBay, or you can just use whatever you've got. You can use more of this, you can use Cordura, ripstop nylon, whatever it might be. About ripstop nylon, I don't line my bags. People always say, are your bags waterproof? No, they're not. I think the term I saw earlier in the week was weatherproof, which is kind of bullshit. But yeah, no, I don't line my bags. For me, it's unnecessary because the fabric does a good job of keeping the weather out in terms of drizzle. If you're in a downpour, I always say to customers, just wrap your stuff in a plastic bag, basically, you know, Ziploc bag. You're not going to, I mean, I'm not going to be able to make you a waterproof bag because I use a sewing machine. Other companies who are now investing in seam welding and stuff like that, yes, you probably will get a completely weather sealed bag, but I don't have the funds or the space to be able to do that. I'm working out of a 1-bedroom flat where I've moved my bed into my living room and my bedroom is now my sewing room, so you got to give me a bit of a break. I'm doing the best I can. Right, so I'm going to show you how I mark this using a chalk marker. It is almost run out, so I might have to switch to the trusty pencil, in which case you probably won't be able to see what I'm doing, but I will do my best to explain it. So, first things first, hopefully you can see, let me just check. Yeah, I'm still in the shot. So, first things first, you want to mark halfway. Yes, just about. So, in that case it's 19 centimeters. I would normally do this in a different order, but because I'm doing it for video, I'm going to do it in this order. So, 19. I'm going to mark 1 centimeter either side. If you watched my zip tutorial video, which hopefully you did, you'll understand why I'm doing this. What I normally do is I normally mark all the ends of the lines and then I match them all up. Then I am going to mark 21.5 from the end, or 2.5 from the zip. So, and then let's mark that there. So that's going to be the line where the webbing goes. Now, some people like having a webbing ladder on the front of the bag as well, in which case feel free to mark 2.5 centimeters from here as well, and then you can put a webbing ladder on the front of your bag. You will obviously need 2 strips of webbing, but you know, 25 centimeters, hopefully you've bought a few meters of it, so it's not too much of an issue. Right. It's making a particularly horrible noise today because it is almost out, so I'm just trying not to buy stuff from Amazon and put unnecessary pressure on them, considering what's going on at the moment. Anyway, I like to do my webbing ladders every 5 centimeters, so here I've just got 20, and then I'll go 15, 10, and then 5. Then I will flip it over and I will mark for the pocket on the same side that I'm going to put the webbing ladder on. So this is the side that the will be closest to the handlebars, so I like to put the pocket on that side. If you want to put it on the other side, that's fine. If you want one on both sides, not a problem. So I'm just going to flip it over, and then again, fabric is filthy for some reason. My pocket is 12.5 centimeters approximately deep. So just marking 12.5 there, 12.5 there. And then the one thing which I've forgotten to cut out is the little handlebar, or the loop that goes around the head tube. I don't include an elastic strap for these, but I put it on there just in case you want to connect the bag to your head tube. My brain is a bit fuzzy at the moment, so apologies if I can't actually remember what I'm supposed to be saying. But basically that is everything. Obviously, like I said, you will need a little loop there. I will cut that out when I get over there. So that's that done. Let's move over to the sewing machine. Cool, so while I was moving, I cut the piece of fabric in half, this so I can put the zip on. But the first thing I'm going to do is attach the webbing ladder. So hopefully you watched my webbing ladder tutorial. If not, I'll give you a very quick rundown of it here. So just putting the webbing through, turn my sewing machine down a bit. Just going to go back and forth a couple of times. I tried to keep it within the confines of the of the webbing itself. So just back and forth 3 times. I found, generally speaking, that's adequate. You can go crazy if you want, 5 times, 10 times. Just remember that you're punching more holes in your material. So, go again. Probably not going to be too much chatting on this video, but I will do my best to explain what it is that I'm doing. This has been a quite highly requested tutorial from people on Instagram, but it's mainly just going to be you watching me make a bag while I try and explain what it is that I'm doing. I've got absolutely no idea how long it's going to take, realistically, so I'm hoping that it won't be too crazy, but if you've got this far and you're watching it on 1 times speed, I would probably suggest that you speed it up to 1.5 or 1.25. I don't think I talk too quickly, so don't do this to me now. Come on, Mr. Lighter. There we go. Right, so I always cut one side of the thread first, usually the top. Make sure that's pulled nice and tight, and then I will flip it over, cut the other side. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. It's quite a difficult angle to try and film with just one camera. So now I'm just cutting the other side of the webbing. If I pass that through there, should be easy to see. There we go. So, as I said, don't be afraid of the flame. Your fingers will soon go numb. I'm only joking, but this is the best way I found to finish thread off. Just makes it nice and tidy. Right, so there is a specific way that zips go on, and I can never remember it. So I think it's this way around. Here's hoping. So again, if you watch my zip tutorial, you'll know exactly what I'm doing. If you didn't, as I said in the first part, I just marked a centimetre on line on each half of the webbing, or the material, sorry. I'm going to turn my machine up. And then you just want to notice how the zip is face down. So that's not ideal. This end of the zip's a bit messed up. Hopefully I can salvage it. If not, it's going to be not a very fun video. So then I'm just folding it back on that line that I marked. Quick back stitch on this end, and then fold it over, fold it nice and tight. With VX21 you can kind of get away with folding it the whole way down. I don't iron anything. Some people may iron fabric, but I'm not that kind of guy. I don't even own an iron. I don't own any shirts. Why would I own an iron? I'm a bit worried about this zip now. It seems to have separated from where it was cut. The coils have come a bit loose, so I might have to put the zip on the wrong way, the puller. Right, so now, again, face down, just make sure that you've got the correct side of the fabric. I've had it many times where I've sewn that side on and then gone to fold it over and there's no line. So, obviously these lines aren't actually necessary, they're just a good guideline as to where you are going to sew. So, just line that up, stick the needle through, splits down. Snip, snip. Sorry if I'm going off camera when I'm doing these bits with the lighter. It's not easy for me to have everything in the shot. But hopefully you get the idea. And as is always the case, if you've got any questions, just leave a comment. So start it off, fold it down. And away we go. Back stitch at the other end. And this is really not playing ball, this zip. I'm not happy at all. Right, so in that case, what I'm going to do now, again apologies, this is all off camera, but it's hard to fit everything in. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to fit the zipper pull. I'm going to fit it from this side. I don't know if this is the side that it should go on, but this is the side that I'm going to try and get it to go on. Zipper pulls are always a bit of a nightmare, so bear with me while I fiddle. I'm trying to do it as quickly as possible, never easy. I guarantee you when I'm not filming it, it goes on super easily. But when I am filming it, it's a nightmare. Cool, there we go. Right, so, I'm not sure if you can see that. I'll try and hold it up as best I can. Doesn't help. There's a sewing machine in the way. No, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to show it. Right, these two don't quite line up. This here and this here. So what I will do is I will adjust the zip a little bit by undoing it and wiggling it and then getting it back connected again just until these two bits line up, because otherwise your bag's going to be a bit wonky. So bear with me while I do that. Like I said, I have no idea how long this video is going to be. I'm trying my best. So there we go. It's not quite perfect, but I've managed to get these two lined up. Hopefully you can see there that they're pretty good, these two edges here. Now you can just clear the rest of the zip off. Right, while I was off camera, in between moving things around, I cut these pieces out. This is just a 3-inch section of edging. You can use just normal webbing or whatever you've got. This is just going to be a pull tab for the bag, so when it's on the handlebars, when you want to open and close the zip, you've got something to pull against. I make it 3 inches so it's easier to pull while wearing gloves, or easier to hold onto while wearing gloves. So just pop that through there. Back and forth a couple of times. Another thing that you'll notice that I don't use zip stoppers. I don't really think that they're necessary when I've just stitched through the zip. So yeah, don't worry about zip stoppers. They are expensive for what they are. They're an added inconvenience. They make your bags take longer. They make your zips harder to repair if they do happen to split. And they can also completely mess up your sewing machine when you're trying to put them nice and close to a seam, and then you're trying to then sew that seam and you've got a zipper stopper in the way, and then you end up punching a needle through your zipper stopper. Thankfully this machine doesn't have any issues with it, but on some machines you might not be so lucky. So what I'm doing here is I'm just pushing the zip as close as I can, not overlapping it, but just pushing it nice and tight, just to get it as close as possible to where it's going to be once it's closed. So that's that. Again, you don't need to be perfect with any of this stuff. It's not, you know, that's the joys of handmade bags. They're not perfect. None of my bags have ever come out 100% perfect. There's always something. But if I made everyone 100% perfect, it would take me a whole weekend to make one bag. If you want to do that, that's cool, but that's not quite realistic for me. So again, I mentioned this mark I made here halfway down. This is for the tab, so you can put a strap around your head tube. Like I said, I don't actually include that strap because I don't really think it's necessary, but the fact it is there gives customers the option. You can use a shoelace, piece of elastic, you know, whatever you might have lying around, and then that just stops the bag from moving around. I think it's useful if you're using it off-road, because when you're going down descents and they're bumpy, the bag has a habit of rotating around the handlebars and it might flip over. It's still going to stay attached to the bars, but it's just yeah, it's just nice to have it so it's not going to go anywhere. But it's not something I've really ever had an issue with, so I'm never really worried about it too much. One thing I do, this edging has I don't know, just whatever material it's made out of melts really nicely, so I will just go over the edges and just tidy that up. One thing, I normally use my hot knife to do this, so I'm just going to warm that up a second. If I can reach it, I'm connected to my laptop again, so yes, got it. Right. So while that is warming up, I am going to sew the bag together. So connect the ends, get them nice and close. Same as anything, you want to be as accurate as possible. Doesn't need to be perfect, but you do want to be as accurate as possible. And then let's just tidy that up. So that is that bit done. Now you notice that I didn't backstitch it. That's because I'm about to edge this section as well to add some water resistance to it. Like I said, no such thing as waterproof, but water resistance, weather resistance, whatever you want to call it. If you're not going to edge it, then you probably should backstitch it. Like I said, the reason that I don't is because this is essentially now going to be a double stitch seam. So it's not really necessary. Plus, when I attach the ends, the circles, they will go around that and they will create their own seam. So that'll reinforce that. And then that is also edged. So that is also essentially double stitched. So let's just get my edging foot out. Obviously, I've mentioned this in the tutorial, or the kind of first video that I did, the introduction about what I use. 25mm edging foot. This is a fold away one, so pulls out the way. You can just get fixed ones, so these are quite expensive and also apparently really hard to find now, but I'm sure you can find something similar that would work on your machine. So I'm just going to zip down here really quickly, move my light so I can actually see what I'm doing. Now I always start the edging off a little bit just to make sure it's folded properly before I put my piece in. Just snip that off. Now time to get this out. So this is my hot knife and this is my hot knife protection plate. It's just a very old scrap of wood. So all I'm going to do here is finish off the ends of the zip. So you can see, hopefully you can see there's a bit of zip overhanging here. So I'm just going to cut that off. And the fact that I'm using the hot knife makes it nice and tidy, nice and heat sealed. So that is an advantage to using something like that. And then if it's got any strands of plastic like it does now, just finish that off with a lighter. I'll come to the other side. The zip on this side usually isn't an issue because I've usually tried to line the zip up on one side, but there will be a piece of webbing overhanging usually. Like I said, 10 inches on my ruler is slightly longer than 25 centimeters, so just cut that off. And then I'll also just, because I can, I'll just cut off these edges of the webbing, or the edging, sorry. They don't need to be perfect because it's about to get covered up, but it's still good to do. Just force of habit, so to speak. Right, now this bit is going to be tricky because there's a lot of manipulation that goes on with the fabric. So, oh, nuts. Right, I was rushing there. Now I'm going to have to unpick all of this. This is the reality of what happens when you get ahead of yourself. I'm going to leave this in because this does happen, and obviously it's just happened to me. I haven't done one of these in a while, so naturally I forgot something, and all of you are going, John, you forgot to put the pocket on. And that's exactly what I did. So yes, I forgot to put the pocket on. So just going to unpick this very quickly. This is very embarrassing, but these things happen. And this has happened to me many times before. And I just don't beat myself up about it. You know, no one's perfect. And concentrating quite hard on actually talking about what I'm doing, whereas usually I'd obviously just be making the bag. So this is all a bit unfamiliar for me. So, yes, I forgot to put the pocket on. That webbing edging can now go in the bin. Now I'm going to put the pocket on. So, sticking a pocket on is very simple. Line that up. Back stitch. Get this about in the right place. Because this material stretches, you kind of have to fold it and manipulate it and mess around with it. But so I'm just lining everything up. It will stretch, it will move, it won't ever be perfect. The piece I cut off probably won't be the same width the whole way down, but that's just the nature of the fabric. Now I try to keep, you can't really see it, but the line that I made 12.5 centimeters down, I will try to keep the end of the pocket in that general area, and then I will manipulate the pocket fabric itself, stretching it away from me, so that when it comes to the end, it all lines up. So, right, now is that done? How foolish. I can't believe I forgot that. I mean, I can, I'm an idiot, and like I said, I've not made one of these in a while. I've been making all sorts of other stuff, doing some personal projects for once. So just finish off these ends. Again, sorry you can't really see what I'm doing, but just melting down the edges of the edging here just to tidy them up and finishing off the thread. So let's go around again and finish these off. So this is just proof that it doesn't go perfectly every time. I do get things wrong. I do forget things. So here we go again. Perfect. So we're nearly there. Honestly, can't believe I did that. Finish that off, and I will get the edging foot out again. Might turn my machine up slightly. I'm on 800 stitches per minute. I've just moved up to 1,000. The bobbin will probably run out in a minute, which if it does will be hilarious and typical. So, I'm not going to finish off those with the hot knife again because I've turned it off and then I have to warm up again, and that's a waste of time. So, I'm just going to do them with the lighter very quickly. And probably shouldn't say this, but the edging can hide your sins. So that's what I say, nothing's perfect. None of these bags are perfect. They never are. If you've made some mistakes, don't worry about it. You know, it'll be okay. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to fold over this edge of the material so the pocket keeps going essentially. So I'm going to fold it back that way. Let me spin my light around, hopefully you can see a bit better. And now I'm going to sew one of the circles on. What I've done here is I've marked all my, the crisscross pattern is always going vertically when I make a bag. That's something that I actually ensure that I do. I don't have them that way or diagonal or whatever. They should always be as close to vertical as possible. So let's turn my machine back down again. I'm just going to put the needle through. Then I'll look through the zip to make sure that it's lined up in the center. You won't be able to see that, but just making sure that it's as close to vertical as possible. And now I'm just going to slowly work my way around, pulling and manipulating the fabric as I go. And the advantage with having the line marked on the top and bottom, which I showed you, is that when you get to halfway around, you can see how close you are to it being spot on. Like I said, the maths on these is quite strange. It does change. Sometimes they'll be perfect, sometimes they'll be miles out. So here we're looking at the circle being a little bit too big. So again, you probably won't be able to see it. The middle of the zip is here, and the line is here. So we're about, I don't know, 5 mil out. So that means that when I go back round again for the remaining half, I will just pull the body of the bag a bit more to stretch it out. I think that's right. Whatever. Oh wait. No, the bag's too long, sorry. So I'll pull the circle a little bit. Brain is all over the shop. So here you can see that I'm almost spot on. It's crunching up a little bit, but generally speaking it will probably sort itself out. So you just have to play it by ear. Sometimes you'll end up with a tiny little bit of overlap. The more you do, the better you get at working it all out. And I think I've got pretty lucky here. So just a back stitch at the end. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty good. There's no folding here, there's no folding here. So yeah, I mean, I got away with that. Like I said, said in the past, you can manipulate this fabric. So if it's not quite right, don't worry about it. Now, what I will do is I'll just cut off that bit there and seal that up with some. Right, now what you want to make sure is that your zip is open, because we're about to stitch the other end onto the bag. And if your zip is closed, which I have done in the past, it makes it very fun turning the bag the right way out again. So, again, you want to fold the edging back on itself so it's the same. So here we've got it facing downwards, here we've got it facing downwards as well. So otherwise, it's just not right. Make sure it's right. So folding it that way, sticking the circle through, stick my needle through, and then I'm going to line up to make sure that it's in the right place. It's miles off at the moment, so cool, that's about right. Drop my needle, quick back stitch, and then off we go. Same again, so just manipulating the bag to get it all lined up. This isn't particularly difficult, it's just unfamiliar. You'll notice that I don't actually stitch around I'm not stitching around a circle. All I'm actually doing is a straight line, which is why I say to people, I can only sew straight lines. You know, I'm moving the circle. It's the straight line all the way around that makes the circle. So here again, we're a little bit off. So just gonna pull this a little bit just to get it about where it should be. Just jiggle it all around. Pull one bit, pull the other bit. See if it all lines up. When you're about 2/3 to 3/4 of the way around, you should be able to see how close you are. So again, we're looking pretty good. And just follow that around there. That bit was a curve. So if you're not doing the edging, then your bag is now finished. I don't know how long this video is. Oh, 27 minutes. Probably would have been a bit less if I didn't mess it up. I'm going to edge it, so you get to watch me do that. If you have an edging foot. If you don't, you can probably skip this bit, and then. So what I always do with my edging is I just cut it off. So I'm starting with a nice, fresh, clean end. Put that in the bin. Seal it up with a lighter. So this is the one time where I won't pre-fold and then stitch, because I want the edging to be open, because otherwise you can't actually get the body of the bag through. So I always start at the bottom because, again, easiest place to hide your mistakes. Pop that through, get it about, so this is about the halfway point of the bag. The edging starts there. I'm going to go back and forth a couple of times, and now you're just, move my light, you're just a few stitches at a time, maybe 5, 6, 7 stitches, just spin the bag around, really push it into that edging foot to make sure that the edging is as close to the edge of the bag as possible. And this is the same for any of the bags I do. So frame bag, anything, it's the exact same way. It's just a different shaped bag. If you've got any suggestions on what you want me to do a tutorial on next, let me know. Bar bag was probably the most requested. It's easily my most popular product, so it makes sense. And then I think frame bag was second most requested. So if you want me to do a frame bag tutorial, let me know, and I will do. Right. So that's one side done. I'm just going to go a few stitches over, back stitch and back again. Then pull it out, cut that, seal these off with a lighter real quick. And then quick chop from one side, and again from the other side, and then I will seal this freshly cut edge. And this is why I like this edging so much. This is from Atwall's Manufacturing. It's their 25mm webbing. I think they call it lightweight webbing. I'm pretty sure I put a link to the company in the first video, so go and check that out. And then let's go over to the other side. Now when people say, how long does it take to make a bar bag? I can say, if you watch this video, you'll know exactly how long it takes me to make a bar bag. So, there we go. Threads come out of the needle. Not ideal. It does happen on occasion, just when the thread isn't So, right, one thing I will do is when I get around 2/3 of the way, I will cut off these bits of thread. I won't seal them off with a lighter, I'll just cut them real close. I did back stitch and I'm about to back stitch again, so there we go. Cut it off, seal them up. Alright, I'm going to turn this inside out here. I'm not going to do an outro like I did on the other one, just because this video is already long enough. So, yes, I will put a orange tie on it. Zip pull. So now I'm just going to push the zip so it's all the way open, flip the bag inside out, or rather, yeah, outside in, inside out, what have you. I'm not sure. So, there we go. That is a bar bag pretty much done. So hopefully you can see that. Like I said, it will have a tie on the zip. They're over there. I can't reach them because I'm mic'd into my laptop. For the straps, I use one wrap Velcro, which I think I've mentioned in a previous video, probably in the first video. You can use normal Velcro. You can just stitch two pieces together, so you've got the hook and the loop will connect to each other. You can use buckles. You can use probably elastic bands. You can use whatever you want. I just use one wrap because it's easy. It is quite expensive for what it is, but I like it, and I cut off about an 8-inch piece, and that'll generally go around most handlebars. So, sorry that it's been a bit quick. If you've got any questions, please leave a comment. I will do my best to answer them. Sorry that I made a mistake. That doesn't make me look very professional, but it does also show that I am human. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy with this. Hopefully my customer Sam will be happy with it. If you want to see something different next time, please leave a comment, let me know what you want. But I think that's about me done. So if you got this far, thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you again soon. Cheers.